Here we are, Ariel.
Again,
We're going to start now a new chapter. This is from the second book of the Ein Beis. And it goes from here for a series of chapters, explains how a person is able to daven properly. Because we'll see that there's whatever the revelations will come from above, and there are the work that a Jew has to do from below to create a vessel. Okay, so we're going to see this, and therefore we're going to start this new mimer. It begins. Oh, we're going to begin with a few questions, and then from a few questions we're going to go in to understand the depth. Okay, it begins with the fact that we know that the law, the holiday of Hanukkah, that when we light the Hanukkah candles, so we're supposed to put the Hanukkah candles in a certain place, right? Where is the place which you have to put them? So you're supposed to put them on the outside and on the left side.
on the
Okay,
opposite side of the mezuzah.
right. That's where it comes out, right? All right. Well, when you light the mezuzah, when we light the mezuzah, when they light the Hanukkah candles, it has to be on the opposite the mezuzah. Okay. Also, it's split originally, or when it's possible, it's supposed to be lit on the outside. Even though our custom
To
today,
advertise the miracle.
right? Even though our custom today in the Lubavitch is that it should be always on the inside. Even though on the outside we make a candle, a Hanukkah lighting for the whole world, but in the inside it's opposite the mezuzah. Okay, so then the question arises, what is the difference? There's our Kabbalah on the Shabbos, when you light the Shabbos candles are supposed to be on the right side. Like in the Beis Hamikdash, when you're looking from the inside of the Beis Hamikdash out, so the menorah is on the right side. So, question over here: what's the difference? Why are they supposed to be on the right side? And it says that the candles have to do with what's called shalom bayis, the peace in the house. Okay, whereas the Hanukkah candles have to do with the outside. Well, we have to understand what's the depth of this. Also, that we have to go in now to understand and explain what was previously explained in this mimer. One of the things is concepts that we started getting into, but went into more depth, that there are revelations which come from above, and they are not, so to speak, limited by anything which is below. And there are things where revelations would come because as a result of the work that we do from below. In other words, if you want to have a cup, want to drink a cup of water, so you have to come with a cup, right? When you go outside and it rains, you don't have to have anything to get the rain. But the truth is, if you want to really grasp the rain, you really have to have a cup. But it's not dependent, so to speak, as much as it is when a person wants to have something and he does something to receive. So in general, these are the differences between the study of the Torah and the work of praying. When we study the Torah, so the ideas of the Torah come down to us, and we have like a minimum what we have to do to prepare for it, but they're not dependent on our preparation. Dependent on us that we want to be able to receive it properly. Whereas when it comes to praying, so the results of what comes from above are dependent on what we do from below. As we know that this a term which is brought in Kabbalah in different places that was called the waking up from below, causes a waking up from above. Okay, so now to get into this, in a deeper way, because what happens is that even at this process of above and below, you can have a revelation in your soul, but it doesn't penetrate into your animal soul or your body. It could remain enjoyable, but it doesn't. It's not going to cause a change. So now we're going to go into this. That this is a major point in praying, is that we want to have what's called in Hebrew the isarus, to waking up, and the sort of lighting up the soul, that the soul would want to leave from its place where it was interest, what it's interested in, and to be able to change its direction and want to unify with the creator. Okay, so this is what's it's called, that we have to use, I was explained before, that there's the mind can influence the heart. So what in the mind itself, the mind is divided into three different parts. There's on the right side, there's the left side, and there's the back side. On the right side is the place where it's called the place of chokhmah, the place of wisdom. And that's a place where we can grasp ideas of, even though at the moment when we grasp them, we couldn't really explain them. In other words, it's called the place where oh, you grab the idea, but it's not yet understood. Okay, the left side is called the world of Bina. And that's the place where a person is able to begin to grab onto the idea and to be able to have sort of a way of explaining it. If you really understand an idea, it means you could explain it, or you could give an example. And that is what is called, just like when physicality, when you want to grab something. So you have to, this has a dimension to it. So an idea also has dimensions. That in terms of grabbing means that a person could have such a way that he understands it and he could explain it by giving an example. And that this is what's called the length and the width of the idea. Okay. But then there's another power which we have in the brain, which is called the das. Now the das is a different place. That place is what takes the idea and is able to grab onto it and is able to feel it. What does it mean to feel an idea? It means that a person begins to feel as though that this idea is talking about me. It's something which I can do, or something which I have to do, or something which is something I really want, or something I want to stay away from. And that's called the power of das. Now, in this power is, so to speak, has wakes up the characteristics in the mind. The person either wants to come close to something or wants to stay away from something. As we know today, living in Israel, that when we hear the sirens, the mind immediately says, "Uh-oh, I have to find a place to hide." Right? Why? Because the person understands that that's what it means. It's not just oh, there's a siren, interesting siren, right? No, he understands right away. Oh, that this is applying, this talking to me. All right. So too, there are things that we know, but we don't. Even the physical world, person knows that certain things are not healthy. Okay, but and there's some things that when he hears them, he says, "Oh no, that's not for me." What's the difference? There's a difference of the world of das. Same with children. It says by a child, but a child it doesn't have das. What does it mean? It doesn't have das. So I mean, a child when you tell them that ketchup all over his shirt is not appropriate, so you say, "Okay, no problem. I'm gonna go back to playing." When a person is older and ketchup falls on the shirt, so he run home and change his shirt right away because he knows that's not appropriate. Okay, so that's das. Now the das is what is going to connect between the mind and the heart, because the heart doesn't understand intelligence. The heart understands either it's good or it's not good. It's something I want, it's something I don't want. And so therefore we have to play with to say have to talk the language. And that is really what we're talking about in terms of praying, is that we're trying to build a bridge to be able to, not bridge, but a connection that the animal soul, which is really connected with the heart, should be able to wake up and want to come close to the things which are really good. Okay, so how do we get to it? So we have to use the world, which is called the world of his bonus. Now, his bonus is an interesting word because really in Hebrew you could say his bonus means you're building. You're building. It's so to speak, it's building a picture in a person's brain. In other words, what he knows, he has to sort of look at what he knows and hold it and feel it. And then it's possible that he can say, he can come to the point where he say, oh, it's for me. And that's where we're really heading now. We're heading towards that point in davening, that a person is able to wake up his animal soul. They should want to be connected together with them. We're going to see that this is the major point of what we're after. Okay. So now it goes on like this, that to be able to misbonian, a person has to have an idea and has to be able to grasp. So something what to think into, right? It can't be just something general. It has to be that he has something specific what he's thinking about. Okay. And then it has to understand what it is, how it works. Okay. And the truth is that when a person knows something well, there's a certain light of understanding which comes into his soul because he's a person who will understand something. As he's on a level which he can deal with it because he knows what we're talking about. Right? Okay, but that's not enough because the purpose is not just to know. The purpose over here is to cause that the animal soul should want to come close to the Creator. So therefore, even with what he knows, there is the outer part of what he knows, and there's the inner part of what he knows. Okay, so in other words, the inner part of every idea is that really the creator was the one who gave us the ability to have time to think. And the fact he gave us an idea is because it's a way that we can come to be amazed about what he actually managed to do. Right? How many creations in the world they don't have the process of thinking? They just do what they're programmed to do. And here, Hashem gave us the opportunity that we can have ideas, and from the ideas we can come to sense and try to sense what's really behind this, right? That this is a revelation of the powers of the Creator that He wants to have a connection with me. So therefore, if you're looking for the inner part of the idea, so then it's going to be it's going to wake up your inner part. The person I'm looking for the other part. So a person, there's a lot of intelligence can be very happy with understanding something, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for to wake up, to feel the inner part, to wake up the inner part. Okay, and therefore, he says like this, that it's just like in physicality, a person wants to be convinced that something is worthwhile to do. So the example of the salesman, right? That the salesman comes wants to sell you something. So he's going to give you ideas that in the end you're going to take out your checkbook or credit card and you're going to buy it. So there has to be some sort of ideas that the animal soul understands. Okay, and therefore the what we're looking for is not just to transmit idea, we're looking to transmit feeling. Okay, and the feeling in your mind that this is good is going to be picked up by the heart. Okay, and therefore it's like this. That we say sometimes when a person is trying to explain something to somebody else, and it's a deep idea. So there's a such expression that you tell the person the idea and they say, no, you hear what I'm telling you? What do you say? I hear what you're telling me. You're supposed to say, you understand. No, you hear what I'm telling you. You hear the depth of what I'm telling you. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the depth of what is in the ideas. And when a person hears the depth and he feels it, so then he's on the way to waking himself up. And that what I call the wow. He's looking for the wow. Okay. And therefore it's like this. That the in feeling something, There's again, they could feel it in the outer way, or you can feel it with depth. You have to try and feel things in depth. It's not easy. The person has to sort of push out everything else, but you can concentrate on what he learned, something, an idea of Hasidus, some idea, and to feel that this is the Creator speaking to me. Okay, so then it's like this, that when we find when we hear something, we see an idea, we grasp it, we're looking also to understand how this is really above my understanding. Because when a person feels that there's something which is above his understanding, so then he's even more in awe of what he understands. Because he understands, he doesn't understand. And that's what it is. This is when a person stands in front of Hashem, this is one of the most important things that he has to feel that he's standing in front of someone so great that he doesn't really understand really in front of who we're standing. I saw this interesting, one of the explanations when we say Hashem Svasai Tiftach. So before we daven, so it says one person's a simple meaning is Hashem should forgive me so I can talk to you. I mean, it is. They have to go to the davening with the feeling that you know, I don't know how I deserve this, but please let me talk to you. Okay, so then it's like this. It explains like this, that when we have an idea in our brains, we know something, it's not for sure that we and that thing will be close to each other. If we feel that the idea in the brain is something which is applicable to us, then we will be able to come close to it. An example, if somebody tells you exactly how a millionaire makes another $1 million, so you tell me, why are you wasting my time? But somebody tells you that, if you want to make a couple thousand shekels, it's very easy. You have to fill out this form and send it in. They're going to give you 2,000 shekels. Yeah, okay, where do I have to fill it? Okay, so this is the concept of you have to bring the idea in such a way that the animal soul feels that it's something that is applicable, something that I can accomplish. Okay, this is like this. That another ingredient over here, which we have to be able to, so to speak, to bring the idea from the disponibleness down into the heart. There's another major key. What's the key? You have to be happy. You have to be happy, and a person has to have an excitement about going into the process of coming close to the Creator. So a person has what's called chayas, and is happy. So therefore, the happiness comes really from when he negates himself as a separate entity, he wants to be connected. So that causes that from what comes from his understanding will go into his characteristics. This is one of the things that the source of why I want something is because there's a reason behind it. But to be able to bring the reason behind it into revelation, I have to have happiness. A person who's not happy is like not open. It says when a person is happy, he's even able to go together with people that he would generally you wouldn't want to be together with them. Right? This is known by a wedding. By a wedding, that people invite people to weddings that they don't care what they're fighting. It doesn't matter. Yeah, come to the wedding. Why? Because he's happy. So too in a person. When a person is happy, so then it opens him up to be able not only to think and to have the connection, but they should come down and his animals soul should feel, it's something I want to do also. And he says over here, very interesting, that is the reason why there are some people that try to learn how to daven, they try to do everything according to what it says in the books, but they don't manage to do it. Why? Because they're not happy. If a person is just doing things to check off, they have a checklist, and it's not going to work. There has to be a person there. The person that is interested and wants to put himself into it, So then it will come in the Bezat Hashem, with Hashem's help, it should come into reality. Okay. And as we mentioned a little before, he again mentions that what we're talking about over here is the kind of understanding and the kind of intelligence that we're talking about is what's called the outer part of the mind. What's the difference between the outer part and the inner part of the mind? The outer part of the mind, it has to do with the line of thought that the animal soul can understand. As I said before, you want to sell something, you have to talk the language of the person to convince him that he's going to want to buy. But if you're going to talk about something which is abstract, and that you'll sit there for a century and will never buy. Okay, so that's what we're talking. And therefore, since that we're talking about the outer part of the intelligence, so just like in physicality, from the head to the heart, there's the throat, which is in the middle. So in spirituality, that is a blockage that goes from understanding to the feelings. It has to go through the so to speak, limitation. And that's where the das comes in. That if a person is able to wake up his das, that he feels it, so then he'll be able to bring it down to the heart. He's not talking about here, but there's another kind of line of thought and a different approach, which is called the inner parts of the understanding. That somebody who is able to get to such a place, so then there's a different. Then the heart runs after the head. But that's not the subject area we're talking about, because that's a very only certain people are very able to do such a thing. This is applicable to everybody. Okay, so now it says like this, that that the major part of the davening again is the waking up of the heart through the understanding. At the beginning of that's why that to feel the word in Hebrew is from the Lashon tafel. Tafel means when you have a cup and you want to cover it with some sort of a protection, so it's called tafel. That this thing becomes stuck on. So too the process of davening is to stick on. Okay, that's what tefillah. We want to take our entity and to stick on to the Creator. And that's we find also that the word tefillin is also the same kind of word like tefillah. Okay, but there's a difference between what comes from above to what is done from below. When we put on tefillin, and so we're having a connection with Hashem, which comes from above, and we're below. When we daven, it's a connection with Hashem, which is below, and we connect to above. Okay. And in the end, he also brings over here that we find that it says anybody who reads Kriya Shema, he reads the Kriya Shema without that feeling, it's like he sacrifices a sacrifice ola, but he didn't bring mincha. So what is the connection? So we can understand the connection. The tefillah, the Kriya Shema, and is like the tefillah is going up, and putting the tefillin is bringing down. So in other words, there has to be a connection when we daven. We're causing a desire of our coming close to Hashem, and when person puts on the tefillin, it's a revelation which is coming from above to below. Okay, all right. So now it's just that's at the end of today's chapter, and just to review the end. At the end, you always review is what we spoke about. And it said like this, that the service of davening and learning Torah are the differences whether or not you go from below to above or above to below. And it's based on a person has to have understanding, because we said understanding is revealed in the mind. We said before that that's a vessel to receive understanding. And the major point of the davening is to wake up the heart. Therefore, we have to use the power of das. Okay, and as it says, the person has to die the person has to use the power of das to be able to come close to the Creator. And what is this? What is das? This is the hergis, the feeling that a person understands that this is a holy thing. It's a eluki. that what he's learning, and the fact that he uses his das and makes it come close to him, and through that he can wake up his heart, and he can be he has to be happy, and he has to have a desire and powers of chayes to come close to the Creator. That this davening should bonus should come into his heart. Okay, and then he explains that that's the constant davening is to connect. Person has to connect with the Eibishter, and when we daven, that's going from below to above, and but feeling is from above to below, and that is the why that the korban, right, which is a going from below to above, is has to be followed by the sachim. Sachim are when they pour wine on the
Bola.
on the Mizbeach, and when you pour, it's going from above to below. Okay, so that's today's chapter. And we should, Ezrat Hashem, everyone be in the Beit Mikdash.
Amen.
And don't forget to give tzedakah. Okay.